Hey everybody, Andre here, and today I want to talk about clefs and how to use them. So, what we have here on this whiteboard of mine is staff paper, right? We have we have a staff here with 5 lines. This is the most common kind of music notation template that you can have, right? And on this musical staff, you would put notes, right? You would put various symbols to show you how to, what pitches to play. So what a clef does is helps you organize those pitches on a staff. So probably the one that most people are familiar with is called the Treble Clef or G Clef. And the way I draw it, kind of like that. I start in the middle, make like a backwards C, go up, kind of turn, a little turn in the back there. You can practice. You can be as sloppy as you want, whatever. As long as you go give a little turn around the second line from the bottom. In fact, it's not actually that important that it be on the second line from the bottom, because really you can put it anywhere. But this is the most common place to put it. This is called the treble clef. And this symbol, the symbol itself is called a G clef, because that little circle that I was just talking to you about, it's going around the note G. So after that, basically, you go by thirds. You go E, G, B, D, F for the lines, and then the spaces are F, A, C, E, and you can think of all sorts of acronyms. FACE is an easy one to remember. E, G, B, D, F. Every grandma brings delicious food is one that I like. But basically, this is the most common clef here. Okay. Another common clef is called bass clef. And this one, you get little 2 dots here. Sometimes I put dots here, but then I get yelled at by angry people on the internet. Why do you put dots on your treble clef? But the bass clef here, so let me just write treble clef, and this one is called the bass clef. But the symbol, the actual shape itself is called the F clef, because these 2 dots right here, they're going around the F. And I suppose you can be fancy, you can go around, you can do a little twirl around that line in the similar way that you have a little twirl here. But what this basically tells you is that the F note is right here, and then the other lines would be like this, and the spaces would be like this. So Ace G, all cows eat grass, so that's a common one. G, B, D, F, A, good burritos don't fall apart is what I like. So these are the common clefs, but you might be surprised to know that there are several other kinds of clefs out there. So we have the treble and we have the bass, common ones. What are some other clefs that we have? Well, there's a shape that you need to know. And the shape sort of looks like this. There are many different iterations of this shape, but I've always drawn it as a K because I don't have the best handwriting, as you can see. But something that looks kind of like that. And what this shape is called, it's called a C clef. And just like with the G clef and the F clef, the symbol kind of centers around one note. And that note, in this case, is in the middle of this K. And that is middle C. The C between the treble and the bass clef. So if I were to draw, here's a treble clef, here's a bass clef, and this note right here, that's middle C. So this note here is the same as this note here. So if I were to draw the C, that's a C, and that's a C. The same octave as well, C4, C4. So you're probably thinking, whoa, I've never seen that clef before. Who would use this clef? Well, most commonly, violas use this clef. And that's pretty much it in the normal, standard orchestral instrumentation. But this is not the only C clef. Another common C clef is around this line. So, by the way, I forgot to say, this is called the Alto Clef. More on that in a bit. This one is called the Tenor Clef. And again, the C, middle C, would be right there in the middle of the symbol. So what instruments use this? Well, trombones often use this. Bassoons often use this. Cellos often use this. So kind of like baritone / tenor range instruments would use these. So you're probably thinking, well, why? What's the point? Well, these instruments, the viola for this one, and the trombone, bassoons, and cello, sometimes they play in a register that requires them to play certain notes above middle C or below middle C, but not so far away, and it really helps to not have ledger lines. What a ledger line is, if you extend the staff, like if I wanted to draw a note down here, that would be a ledger line. It's adding an extra line outside of the staff. So it's a convenient way to not have to have a bunch of ledger lines. All right, so these are common C clefs, but there are more. There are more C clefs. Down here, I can draw one here. This is called Mezzo-Soprano Clef. Not so common, but it is a thing. There are no common orchestral instruments that use this, at least today. And then we have soprano clef. So you probably are seeing a pattern. Every line, except for the top one, has their own like middle C clef. And you'll notice that soprano, mezzo, alto, tenor, it's all based on voice parts. All of these things came from the vocal writing tradition hundreds of years ago, where chorales would be written in these original clefs for the same reason that I said before, to avoid ledger lines. Think about the voices that are singing here. Sopranos, they're going to be singing above middle C. So to avoid ledger lines, there you go. Mezzo-sopranos are going to be singing above middle C, but they have a little bit lower as well. Altos are very balanced. They sing above middle C and below middle C. And tenors need a few notes above C, but mostly below C, right? So that's the point of these clefs from a practical standpoint. You're probably thinking, whoa, what about one up here? Well, this clef is redundant, a little bit redundant, because put a C up here, it's actually the same as another clef, which I haven't shown you yet. We've talked about the soprano, and the mezzo, and the alto, and the tenor, and the treble, and the bass clef. There's one other voice part that we haven't talked about, and that's called the baritone clef. So you'll notice it looks like an F clef. It is an F clef. It looks like a bass clef, but instead of being over here with the F is actually right there. And so you end up having kind of like a bass clef that's been shifted a little bit, because baritones sing slightly higher than basses. So it makes sense that their clef is adjusted a little bit. Nobody uses this clef anymore, right? But hundreds of years ago, this would have been a solution to the baritone voice. But why is this one redundant? Well, if you count up F, G, A, B, C, these two are the same. But this one has more utility, because if you're a baritone, you want to sing above middle C, which would happen a lot, you would have ledger lines. So this is kind of pointless. So this one is not a clef that we use. So let's review. Common, 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 not common, definitely not common, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clefs. How cool is that? And you know what else is cool? How many notes are in a major scale? C, D, E, F, G, A, B. 7 unique notes in a major scale. So why do I say that? Well, stay tuned for the next video about clefs, because in that video I will teach you how to transpose using clefs, and that is by far the most useful way of using these clefs outside of just playing your instrument. So I hope this quick video was useful for you. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, comment down below. Let me know what you want to know about in terms of music theory. I'm happy to make videos on all sorts of stuff, but Until next time, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Please subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.